You know, David Plouffe, we know that Stephen Miller, who ironically is the grandson of Holocaust survivors, is fixated on remaking the racial composition of this country by deportation, mass deportation, and returning to a 1920s era immigration policy that essentially will only let in white Europeans. We know that Donald Trump still talks to Tucker Carlson, despite Tucker Carlson having said he despises him, and that they share a view that non-white immigrants have made the country dirty, have made the country unseemly, and that they need to return power essentially to white men. And they're very open about it. They don't hide it. And yet what you're seeing is this ideology being transmuted outside of just white conservative Republicans into other ethnicities, into other ethnic groups who are seeing this as, you know what, this is a possibility. Donald Trump isn't losing support. He's gaining it with this open call to turn the United States essentially into a giant white ethno-state. How is that possible? And what is the counter to it?
Well, Joy, I guess I'd start where you started, which is, you know, the danger of giving him a redo, you know, would be one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the planet, in global history, because I do think, you know, he won't be as successful probably as he'd like, but he's going to organize his government and an outside game here to try and be much more effective to accomplish that aim, which is to turn America into an autocracy where he rules and then Don Jr. rules and then Ivanka rules, and basically white men, you know, have all the power in this country, maybe with the exception of Ivanka. So what I'd say, though, Joy, is I think most of the people that are going to decide this election, people right now in polls who might say, you know, all things being equal, maybe I'd vote for Trump. People who are still undecided, you know, progressives and young people who haven't decided who to vote for, whether to vote. They don't know this is what he's going to do. So we have to understand that that's what the campaign is for. The campaign is to feed this, because the percentage of Americans that would support, by the way, it's scary how high it is. Maybe 30%, maybe 35%, but it's not 50%. And you need to feed this to them each and every day so that you raise the stakes of this election. And then the important point you raised is you've got to make sure that voters understand there is only one way to save the country, and it is to vote for Joe Biden. And any vote to these third parties is a vote for Trump. Because Trump, I don't know, you know, I worry about these latest polls because he is at 49, 50, 51, higher than he's ever been. But I think that that'll look different in the spring. But he's not going to fall below like 45. So if there's too many third-party votes splintering, he's going to win. So that's what the campaign is for, is to make sure that all this stuff that we're spending all time seeing, which, again, is deeply, deeply unpopular. So this is not a guy, last thing I'll say, who's decided, you know what? I lost in 20. My party was awful in 18. We got our butt kicked in 22. We just had a bad election week. I need to change. He's doubling down on basically, you know, destruction of this country. And we have to explain that and explain why that's important.
I want to come back to that in just a second, and the challenge